But I'm telling you, man, I've never seen anybody drive like this. He was going all the way up there, and he went all the way across and almost rolled over a few times.
Okay.
I think he's having a medical episode, though.
Do you know where you're at right now?
A sober man who was actually a retired deputy suffering a diabetic crisis was arrested for DUI by the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
Turn around, put your hands on your back.
And the worst part about it is, this wasn't just a mistake where a cop mistook a diabetic crisis for a driver being drunk. Brand new body cam footage given to me by this man's lawyer shows that this innocent man was arrested only after this 25-year-old trooper learned that the man was suffering a diabetic crisis. So he discovered that this man was sober, and yet he arrested him anyway.
What have you taken today?
Medication.
What kind of medication?
Diabetes medication.
Diabetes? Are you having a diabetic episode? Do you know where you're at right now? So you don't need any medical attention.
I need sugar.
You need sugar?
Yes.
Are you low on sugar?
Yes.
I mean, if it is medical, then he can prove all that in court. And I don't care to lose a court case, you know.
There are huge problems right now in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. This new footage, which is the subject of a lawsuit that is currently pending, shows just how bad it's gotten. In Tennessee, an out-of-control driver is swerving all over the road. Another driver calls the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Trooper Ryan Nichols arrives.
2326.
I've located the vehicle. Just stand by for more info. I'm US 64 and Rutledge Ford Road.
64 and what you're might get out.
Rutledge Ford Road.
When he gets there, the concerned driver tells him that he's worried that the man was suffering from a medical episode.
Hey, how's it going, man?
How's it going? What you got?
Police officer from South Carolina. I was behind him since on 24.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, man, I've never seen anybody drive like this. He was going all the way up there, and he went all the way across and almost rolled over a few times.
Okay.
I think he's having a medical episode, though.
You got your...
Trooper Nichols then talks with the man who definitely appears to be confused.
We are back out of the car now.
Hello.
Hello.
Trooper Nichols, Tennessee Highway Patrol. What's going on today?
All right.
Today?
Not much.
Nothing much. We're getting a lot of calls about your driving. You're all over the roadway. What's going on with that? You got your license on you?
Yeah.
Can I have your license?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Binkley.
Dean Binkley?
But because this 25-year-old trooper, who had been on the job a whole 2 years, was apparently told at some point during his training that if he sees constricted pupils, that indicates narcotic use. So the trooper ignores the obvious and thinks that this man is on drugs.
His pupils are constricted, which tells me he's high on a narcotic. But
Yeah, he's on something, dude. I'll step back here.
Oh, you're fine. You got your ID? Sir?
Huh?
You got your license?
Yeah.
Can I have your license? Where are you coming from? Do you need any medical attention?
No.
No, you're fine. Have you taken anything today?
Have I taken anything?
Yeah, you taking any medication?
No.
How much have you had to drink today?
Drink?
Alcohol?
No.
Nothing? So then how come you're driving all over the roadway? Can I have your license? Thank you.
Elmer Binkley is a retired Franklin County, Tennessee deputy sheriff who on August 7th, 2024, was actually on his way home from a doctor's appointment when his blood sugar levels crashed. Mr. Binkley is a diabetic, and he had applied for a Dexcom 7 transmitter through his insurance company, which would detect high or low blood sugar levels. However, it had been denied by his health insurance company, so he did not obviously yet have it. As he was driving, his blood sugar levels dropped exceedingly low within a very short period of time. As a result, he started to swerve slowly back and forth across the highway dividing lines, ultimately leaving the road and coming to a rest on the right-hand side of the highway. He orders him out of the vehicle and stands him in front of the patrol car's dash cam in order to begin his DUI investigation. But the man barely has the balance to stand up. So he's just immediately arrested, handcuffed, and placed in the rear of the police car.
Very inconvenient. I haven't done anything. All right, sir, step on out. We're going to do some tests, okay? Make sure you're good to drive, all right?
All right.
We're going to go to the front of my patrol car, okay?
All right.
You good? You have any kind of medical conditions?
54 Junior, Dan Rouse.
We're going to go over here, okay?
It also sounds like these parties are heated and trying to escalate each other.
Right over here. All right, turn around and face me. All right. What have you taken today?
My medication,
What kind of medication?
diabetes medication.
Diabetes? Are you having a diabetic episode?
No, I take insulin and that kind of stuff.
When's the last time you took it? How much did you take?
I don't know. I took Lantus and
Do you know where you're at right now?
somewhere between Murfreesboro and Winchester.
Okay, but what about right now? Where are you? All right, well, stand here and face me, okay? We're going to do some tests, make sure you're good to drive, all right?
All right.
Do I?
All right.
All right, so stand up off the car.
Huh?
Stand up off the car. Face me. We're not going to do it. Turn around, put your hands on your back. Actually, put your hands in front of you. Put your hands up. All right, sir, you're going to be going to jail right now for DUI, okay?
I'm not DUI.
You're extremely DUI. You can't even stand up.
I am not DUI.
All right. All right, we're going to go to the back seat of my patrol car, okay? You good? Yeah. Try to slide your feet in there. I know it's tight.
Elmer Binkley was in a diabetic stupor, and this was obvious. Elmer asked for sugar, and Trooper Nichols ended up giving him a piece of candy from inside Elmer's vehicle.
So you don't need any medical attention?
I need sugar.
You need sugar?
Yes.
Are you low on sugar?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything in your car? He's saying he's low on sugar. This is all we can find. Everything else is zero sugar. We got an ambulance coming to check you out, okay? Okay?
By the time EMTs arrived at the scene, Elmer's blood sugar was up to 54. After examining him, the EMTs gave Elmer another piece of candy. They advised Trooper Nichols that Elmer was suffering from a diabetic issue. All of this is after Elmer had already told the trooper that he was diabetic.
All right, sir, we got the ambulance here. They're going to check you out, okay?
2273.
T-Dog, probably trying.
I'm trying to make sure that I'm not taking a guy to jail who needs to go to the hospital. You know?
It's a little low of varies for everybody. It could be playing a factor in it. I can't say 100%. Because it's kind of right there, borderline low. But if he's just running higher, everybody's body reacts different. Because I like sweets, and I'm not gonna lie, mine probably runs around 150 or higher. So if I got down that low, I'd probably be falling out.
Yeah. Because his drive, had a video of his driving. It was gone. He's gonna kill somebody.
So you all want us to take him to the hospital, or?
This is my first time dealing with this specifically, so I don't know. Does you think he needs to go to the hospital?
He probably needs to get it up a little bit. I mean, honestly, if he needs a bar and a Coke, we'll probably do it.
Well, he's got Cokes, but they're all 0 sugar, so I gave him.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I mean, does he want to go with you?
You want to go with us?
Stand up and have my custody testing.
Well, I hooked him.
He said he just needs sugar. Paste? Let me get him some.
It's going to be County Road 519, and she will be 98.
Watch your legs, sir. So he was textbook DUI as far as I'm concerned.
I'll make sure
And then I hooked him, put him under arrest for DUI. He's consented to a blood draw. I asked him multiple times if he wanted medical treatment. He told me no. And then I called my lieutenant and I was like, hey, he's saying he just has low sugar, but I haven't dealt with something like this yet, so I don't know if I don't want to make a bad call when he just needs medical treatment. So you think he should go?
Definitely not going to hurt. I mean, he says the normal's around 75. I'm guessing that's with his insulin and stuff.
At one point, Trooper Nichols had a conversation with the concerned driver who originally called about Elmer's driving and who first spoke with Elmer on the side of the road. The concerned driver mentions that he did originally believe that Elmer was suffering from a diabetic episode and that he noticed that Elmer was wearing a medical alert bracelet. All information that Trooper Nichols seems compelled to disregard in favor of this hunch that Elmer, a retired deputy with no criminal history who is acting consistent with somebody having a diabetic crisis, is actually just some guy on drugs.
There you go. The covers, I picked them up on 24 around the 124. That's what I called the first dispatch. When I got into this county, they told me they were going to have to let THP know, and they said y'all were already coming. So then I followed them down this way, and I went ahead and called 911 again when I saw how bad he was being, driving off the road and everything. And that's when I spoke to a different dispatch, and she stayed on the phone with me the entire time. So when we went off the road, I asked her to stay on the phone with me while she was trying to find out where y'all were.
Yeah.
And only because I didn't know if you guys had a medical episode.
Well, that's what we're trying to figure out, because I keep asking him if it's medical related, and he's denying medical treatment, but he's saying he's diabetic and he's low on sugar.
Well, so I asked him that too, and he said, I said, are you having a diabetic episode? And I want to say he said no, but he had a medical bracelet, he had a doctor's bracelet on.
Yeah.
And so I told dispatch that, and he tore it off, threw it on the floor, and then he starts drinking his drink. I said, what are you drinking, man? And he's like, well, I thought I was drinking insulin or something like that. I mean, it wasn't making any sense. He was incoherent. But yeah, either way, whatever happens, happens. I just don't want to hurt anybody.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm not taking somebody to jail who needs to go to the hospital.
You're good, man. You're good.
That is the number if you want.
Let me get my phone. I'll take a picture of it.
Trooper Nichols also had a private conversation with the Franklin County deputy who was on the scene, where the deputy also tells him that Elmer is a known diabetic, but Trooper Nichols just really wants to arrest Mr. Binkley for DUI.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time telling who this is.
said he is a bad diabetic, but
So it wouldn't put it past him. I mean, I don't smell alcohol or anything, so if he is on something, it's some type of drug.
Trooper Nichols does actually call his supervisor because deep down he probably knows what he's doing is wrong. And as you'll see, that's where I think we get to the root of this entire problem here, not just in this case, but in Tennessee, where it's coming down from above that you should just arrest people for DUI, fill the jails first, and then after the fact, we can sort out who's innocent and who's guilty.
Golly. Can't he just be piss hammered and textbook and throw him in the bag and off to grandma's house? So they checked the sugar. They said it was borderline low.
Do you have the paste at home?
I don't know. This is so confusing to me. I don't.
Start carrying them in the car with you. Do you have a monitor? Or is that just...
He consented to a blood draw, so. Do I need to. So EMS is here. Do I need to go ahead and take him to the hospital anyways? Or. I don't know. I'm going to ask
We'll get
EMS.
that in a few minutes. I'm going to
if we'll
close
do
this
it.
so you get some air. It's hot.
Well, y'all, he consented to a blood draw. Do y'all do that?
Ooh.
It's okay if you don't.
I don't think so. I think we'd still have to carry it up to the hospital and do all that.
Alright, I'll just go to the hospital then.
I don't know if we take him and you just run up there. So I'll just do it.
Nah, no big deal. I just figured. So just take him on to jail? Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I was very confused if what was going on. He's definitely DUI, but I'm trying to make sure that, you know, this isn't just a medical episode and he needs to go to the hospital and not jail at all. Or if he needs to go to jail. It's very... No, they're leaving it up to him. Alright, thanks, sir. Alright, see you.
So even though this trooper talks to his supervisor, and even though he expresses doubt as to whether Elmer just needs medical treatment as opposed to incarceration and criminal prosecution, the end result is that he's now attempting to gather evidence in the form of a blood draw, after which he is taking Elmer to jail. Trooper Nichols tells the EMTs that he doesn't care to lose in court, that if it's a medical issue, that Elmer can basically prove himself innocent.
Let's take him. I'm going to take him to the hospital, get him checked out, and then I'll get my blood drawn. I mean, if it is medical, then he can prove all that in court. And I don't care to lose a court case, you know.
You want to check it one more time, just make sure it's on?
Make sure it's coming up. I'm going to go get the computer because I still think at least you sign.
But then our sugar's messed up. 6%. Which means it's working. It's just not going to raise it up to 250 in a matter of 2 minutes. You still bleeding? Do you need a Band-Aid?
You need a Band-Aid?
Also, to be fair to the trooper here, he did call EMS and he did have the EMTs check Elmer's blood sugar multiple times. And perhaps they are partially to blame here. Sometimes you see EMS take more of a firm hand with law enforcement and actually put the patient's health first. And then sometimes you see them sort of putting law enforcement first instead. Here, I think we see something in between. I'm not medically trained in any way, but I don't think the EMTs are correct here at even taking the position that Elmer's blood sugar levels are anywhere near borderline for him.
So when I walked into the car, I'm just trying to understand all this shit. I walked into the car, I was like, hey, give me your license. And he was like, okay. And he just like forgot about it.
So,
Yeah. Is that typical for a diabetic or?
Because so what's throwing me off is if he gave us the wrong number for what his normal is. Because I looked it up, the recommended is like 70 to 100.
54 to start out.
But if you're low, say he meant to say 175 instead of 75, being that low would definitely affect you because it'll mimic a stroke, forgetfulness, slurred speech, all of that.
He's stumbling around everywhere when we got him out.
If he was right with the 75, that's borderline making him act funny.
So it sounds 50-50.
Yeah. It's like one of those things that like is.
Okay.
And every diabetic acts different too. So it makes it like 10 times harder.
Make it. That's why I was like, man, I don't want to take him to jail if he.
I also think that the one female EMT is giving demonstrably false opinions to the trooper about diabetes having nothing to do with the patient's eyes.
No, diabetes has nothing to do with the eyes.
Yeah, because these people are restricted.
Yeah.
So he's on a narcotic.
The only thing that you'll probably get of like a diabetic patient is like the altered mental status, the like lethargic, like not feeling good, maybe a headache.
According to everything that I've read, diabetes can absolutely affect the eyes in multiple ways and is highly associated with eye and vision problems. Ultimately, Elmer Binkley is arrested and he's told that he's being charged with DUI.
Do what? I'm just trying to make the right call, okay? So
I get it, because
your driving was very, very. You were definitely going to hurt yourself or somebody. But you do understand right now you're still going to jail for DUI, right? Okay.
and I'll assure you that I have nothing to do about such.
I got you. You still want to get blood?
Yeah.
Okay.
As his blood sugar levels start to rise because he had been given the candy a couple of times, he begins coming to his senses, sort of, and he tells Trooper Nichols that he's not intoxicated and even questions the young trooper about whether he's had any prior interactions with diabetics.
Let me finish this tow sheet. We'll go to the hospital and do the blood draw, and then we'll have to check you into the jail, okay?
He hasn't dealt with a diabetic before.
I have not. That's why I promise you I've called several people and obviously the ambulance to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. I've advised that still got to go to jail. So that's where we're at on that.
Subsequently, Elmer is taken to the hospital where his blood was drawn to measure his BAC. However, those results, that toxicology test, would take 7 months. So in the meantime, he's taken to jail, he bonds out. Then after 7 months of being a criminal defendant, the results come back proving that there were no drugs in his system, that he was not intoxicated, but rather was just suffering a diabetic crisis, obviously. So the charges were dropped. So a civil rights lawsuit has been filed and that's currently pending. I'll post a copy of it at the blog post linked in the description below. My initial thoughts after watching the footage, which I shared with you at the beginning of the video, was that what stood out to me was that this wasn't about just a mistake being made, but rather was about a police officer having actual knowledge that this man was having a medical crisis, yet he still arrested him for being allegedly intoxicated. I sent the footage to a guy you may know, James White from the Southern Drawl Law YouTube channel, who is a Tennessee lawyer as well as a former police officer, and I wanted to know his thoughts on this one, and I think he hit the nail on the head. What stuck out to him was more specifically not that Elmer Binkley was arrested in the first place, because there was arguably evidence at the beginning that he may have been intoxicated and certainly that he was in no condition to drive, but that what was inarguable is that as this situation develops, more and more information became known to the officer indicating that this was not a DUI, but just rather a guy with diabetes, and that this is a prime example of something called the dissipation of probable cause. So to comply with the Fourth Amendment, a police officer can make a warrantless arrest, such as a DUI, so long as there is probable cause at the time of the arrest to believe that a criminal offense has been or is being committed. And probable cause exists if the facts and circumstances known to the officer warrant a prudent man in believing that the offense has been committed. In other words, it has to be reasonably trustworthy information. But that doesn't mean that they have to be even good at their job. There is no overly burdensome duty to investigate prior to making a warrantless arrest. Officers need not investigate independently every claim of innocence. After the officer determines on the basis of the facts and circumstances known to him that probable cause exists, the officer has no further duty under the law to investigate or to search for exculpatory evidence. However, the officer cannot simply turn a blind eye towards potentially exculpatory evidence, and he may not ignore information which becomes available in the course of routine investigations. The Sixth Circuit has held that probable cause is not static. Even if the officers initially have probable cause for the arrest, they may not ignore new information that negates that probable cause. If subsequent facts undermine the basis for the arrest, continuing the detention can violate the Fourth Amendment. So if, like here, an officer initially suspects DUI and takes the person into custody, while probable cause may initially exist for that custody, if evidence emerges that the person is a diabetic with a diabetic alert bracelet, has normal breath that does not smell of alcohol, and has been actually evaluated by EMTs, and confirmed to be a diabetic, and confirmed to be having at least some medical emergency, if the officer continues to effect that arrest, despite those developments in the facts, arguably that initial probable cause has now dissipated and the arrest has now become unlawful in violation of the Fourth Amendment, because it's occurring in the absence of probable cause. And in my opinion, that's exactly what has happened here. And the fact that this was done with the approval of Trooper Nichols' supervisor is really telling. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has now confirmed as of January of 2026 that 2,547 people have been arrested for DUI in Tennessee since 2017, whose blood tests showed no alcohol or drugs detected. In 2024 alone, there were 419 such DUI arrests statewide in Tennessee, according to the TBI data. This is something that has been happening consistently, and I think now we can see exactly how this happens. Recently in Bedford County, Tennessee, prosecutors dismissed 41 DUI charges made by a single former Tennessee state trooper. 22 of those involved drivers with no alcohol or no drugs in their system. And the craziest thing is that the Tennessee Highway Patrol leadership has publicly defended their DUI enforcement practices and disputed the characterization of these arrests as wrongful, even where blood work showed no alcohol or drugs. I'll have to come back to that in another video because there's just too much there. I know there was a lot to unpack from this video. A lot happened, and from past videos I know that many of you out there are paramedics or even diabetics, so I'm sure there's a lot of things that I missed, that I didn't catch, that I didn't point out, so please, by all means, let me know in a comment. I'll try to stay on top of what's happening with this lawsuit, as well as the other ones happening in Tennessee. So you can follow along by subscribing both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. You can follow me on X at JohnBryanESQ. Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.